Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews unboxing. Today we are having a look at Warcry Red Harvest, the brand new edition of Warcry containing 2 new warbands and a load of new scenery. So first of all, massive thanks to Games Workshop for sending us a copy of this to review. Warcry came out a couple of years ago now, and we've had Catacombs last year, which was kind of set in dungeons with lots of tiles and kind of thin enclosed spaces to fight through. And then before that we had the big Warcry box with that awesome scenery. And I believe this Red Harvest box is basically the new version of that. The main draw being a load of new scenery and 2 new warbands to fight over the 8 points. So yeah, if you've not played Warcry before, it's essentially a skirmish based game. You've got warbands of no more than like 13 warriors fighting over quite a quick paced game. A lot slicker and faster and yeah, more exciting from a kind of maybe a board game standpoint than a traditional war game that will take you hours to play through. Turns are quite quick and punchy, and there's a dice-based system for your different activations, and yeah, it's really cool, quick game. And yeah, they've brought out this new box as a new entryway into it. It's up for pre-order today. I believe Games Workshop have got a bit of a pre-order promise this weekend, that if you order one this weekend you will get a copy. I know in the past there's been some disappointment when these kind of boxes sell out really quickly. With all this awesome scenery, I think this one may do, but yeah, if you order this weekend you are guaranteed to get one, which is really cool. So yeah, as you can see from the back of the box, we get a load of stuff in there. We get a board and this whole sprawl of Varanite mine scenery. I think the main story thread in this one is, seeing the 8 points in the lore at the minute, Archaon is mining Varanite, this substance from between the 8 points that has mutative properties, and he's planning on using it to break down the door to his ear so he can invade and take on Sigmar himself. We saw Marathi steal a portion of this during the Broken Realm series in order to speed up her ascension to godhood. And yeah, it's quite a valuable resource, and these warbands in this box are fighting over it. Speaking of the warbands, we get 2 brand new ones with brand new miniatures. The Darko Savages, who are kind of reimagined new take on the Marauders. So very Conan vibes to them. I mean, this is a very Warhammer Quest feeling guy here. Kind of a more modern reimagining of those old Marauder models, and I can see a lot of these being used in various Slaves to Darkness armies. And they are up against Tarantulas' Brood. So these are mutated spider-based warband. They're a bit creepy crawly looking, they're a bit weird. They've got additional limbs and stuff. Yeah, they're quite sinister looking. We get a Red Harvest book, we get a load of tokens, and I believe you get the main Warcry rules in here as well. So yeah, let's pop this open and see what we get inside. So yeah, it's a big old hefty box. An awful lot of stuff in here. Let's open this up and have a look. So yeah, chock full of plastic frames. So what I'm just going to do is push this to one side and we'll go through what we've got in here. So first of all, it looks like we've got a frame for Tarantulas' Brood themselves. So this is one of the 2 new warbands, and they're very, yeah, arachnid heavy, let's say. They look really creepy, and that's a good thing. One of the cool things they've done with Warcry is, even though it is predominantly chaos based, there are a few non-chaos factions that we saw in Catacombs. We saw the Cainite warband, and there are rules for using, you know, other Grand Alliances by using existing Age of Sigmar models. The majority of the models are drawn from Chaos because, you know, the game is set within the 8 points, which is where the Varan Spire is and where Archaon rules. So yeah, and one of the dangers was that are they all going to look a bit samey because, you know, they're all Chaos. And one of the really good things they've done in this game is give each warband its own aesthetic, its own look. So obviously these are all in on the weird factor, I guess. Multiple limbs, lots of spiders, lots of icky stuff going on. So yeah, they look really nice. I'm looking forward to getting some paint on those. So that is one of the warbands. we've got a lot of stuff to go. So we've got some scenery. So this looks like the same barricades and walkways frame that we got in the original Warcry box. I want to say it's exactly the same. Those skeletons look familiar. It might be slightly different. So yeah, we get one of those in there. We get what looks like the main kind of like mining column. That is really, really nice. Now obviously this is designed for Warcry with multi-level scenery, but I mean this would look good on your battlefield for Games of Age of Sigmar as well, which is what I'll probably be doing with it. You know, I've got a big Chaos army, all the various Warcry warbands are a massive part of that in itself, and I have fancied like recreating the 8 points and the Varan Spire and all that, so I'm definitely interested in this. Next up in the box we've got another frame. That looks really cool, lots of wheels and skulls and pillars and stuff. I think this scenery is going to look amazing once it's built up. Yeah, that's really cool. We get... ooh, what have we got here? So, I think we've then got some duplicated sprues. So, first of all, we've got a pair of this sprue, so just put one to one side. These look like your various platforms and stuff that you can fight over, and there's some big chunky pieces on here for the you know, there's a lot of real estate on here for your warriors to fight over them, which is really cool. Obviously a lot of things in Age of Sigmar are on bigger bases now as well, so it's good to see that. And yeah, you get 2 of these, so I believe if it's anything like the old Warcry scenery, this is going to be very modular as well. So you build it in a number of sub-assemblies, and then the cards in the box will show you kind of how to put them together in your games, which again gives you loads of options for when you're playing Games of Age of Sigmar as well. So you get 2 of those. We're not over yet. We've got 2 sprues of what looks like the Varanite channels. So I'm going to put one of these to one side. You've got a couple of walls there, some wall pieces, and then yeah, the sculpted Varanite channels, and you can actually see the Varanite in them. They are really, really nice. And again, I imagine they all go together so you've got them in multiple pieces so you can build them in different combinations, which is really cool. It'd be interesting to see if all this stuff built goes back in the box as a storage solution as well. It may not be because there's some very big pieces of scenery in here. But that looks really, really cool. If I'm honest, I love scenery, so I'm kind of more excited about building and painting this stuff than the actual warbands at the moment. I think that's one of the things that makes Warcry. Lots of kind of dense scenery on a board is kind of one of the selling points to me, a bit like Necromunda in that regards. So there is all of the scenery that you get in the box. So what's that? 2, 4, 6, about 8 sprues of scenery. And there's still a sprue left in the box, which is the other warband, the Darko Savages. So yeah, these are cool. Now, like I said earlier, these are kind of reimagined Chaos Marauders, I guess, using the Dark Oath name. We've seen obviously a few Dark Oath units, such as the War Queen and the barbarian-looking guy out of Silver Tower was a Dark Oath as well. And yeah, they're really, really nice. Out of the 2 warbands, I think this one's my favourite because it's more kind of traditional fantasy. I think you can do some really fun stuff with them. And they're not overtly chaos as well. You could, you know, they're more like fantasy tribesmen. They don't necessarily have to be chaotic. From a visual standpoint, which is cool. Where the others are obviously corrupted and chaosy, these may appeal to people who don't want to maybe paint chaos stuff. And you have some, you know, nice variation in skin tones and weaponry and textures on them. So yeah, really, really like that. So that is all the plastics out of the box, but there's a load of stuff left in here. So let's open this up and see what else we get. So first of all, we get a full playing surface. Let's take the shrink off this and see what is in. So within that we've got some of the card components. So first of all your various tokens and stuff for your game. What's good to note as well, as we'll see in a little bit, in the bottom of the box they've actually included little plastic baggies to put all these components in between games again. It means that you can stick it all in the box and have it all together, which is really good because you don't want your little card tokens going missing, so that's cool. We also get a little range ruler, a flashback to the whippy sticks of olden days, but if you haven't got a tape measure, that's certainly something you can do to play your games with, and again, cements the kind of like game in a box kind of vibe that we've got going for the Warcry stuff as well. And then yeah, finally a big board. So Games Workshop have kind of standardised these boards over the last edition of the game. So Age of Sigmar actually use multiple of these as the board size, which is really good. And obviously it's a much different kind of colour scheme to the ones that we had previously for Warcry. This is more kind of flamey and ruin, lots of molten lava and stuff that really goes with the mining operation. It is double-sided. A little bit of variation to the looks. This one's obviously a bit more magma-y than the other side, but really nice battlefield. Again, if you've got multiples of this same board, you can put them together for games of Age of Sigmar as well, which is a really good touch. Obviously if you've got any of the other Warcry sets, all these boards are standard sizes, so you'll be able to use them with them. So we're nearly at the end of the box, but there's still a lot in here. We get bases for all the models. We get, let's have a look, pull those out. You can say a load of bags in there for all your parts. We get various coloured dice. You pull those out for now and put this to one side. In here we get all the cards and stuff that you need to play the game. So if we slide this out, we get various packs of cards. With these will have your deployment maps and various bits and bobs on in there. You also get your cards for your fighters, I think will be in one of these decks too. And then the cards for each of the warbands and the different abilities that you get. So basically games of Warcry, depending on how many duplicates that you roll, you've got different abilities that you can trigger. So these cards will show you all your fighters, what they're armed with, so you know as a quick referral, you know which unit's which. And again, all the abilities that they've got as well. And you've got the same for Tarantulas's Brood as well there. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. We'll see the rulebook, which we'll have a little look at in a minute. And what looks like the assembly instructions. So let's have a quick flick through this first and check this out. One thing that they've started doing recently in Games Workshop construction manuals is have a little scale on this side, so you can just pop the base over and see it's the right size for them, which is a really nice touch. Games Workshop instructions now are really easy to follow, so we get, let's just zoom in a little bit, we get all the options. Most of the units have got different builds that they can have. So as you see from the card for the Savages, obviously we've got a lot of variation there for some of the models, so it may be that you want to pay attention to how you build these and check out the rules for them first if you want a particular loadout. That'll all be covered in here though, and it's very clear which option you need to build which variation, which is nice. Tarantulas's Brood. Probably look a little more complex to build from a parts count, but nothing too difficult. Worth noting that these are all full kind of like multi-part miniatures. They're not push fit or anything, so they will need some assembly. Some of the Warcry warbands have been a little bit fiddly just because they're so intricate, so what I would say, just make sure you take your time when building it. We then go on to the terrain, and like I said, it looks like they are all separate standalone pieces that can then be put together in different variations to give you all the different options for building your terrain. So that's really cool. It means that they'll work really well as scatter terrain on your battlefield, and for games of Warcry it's important as well because the deployment cards will show you the layout of the battlefield. So by keeping them in separate pieces, it means that you're able to play all those different mission types. But yeah, this stuff looks really cool. I'm looking forward to painting this up. I think it's going to be really fun to do. And to be fair, scenery you can do pretty quickly with the contrast, with dry brushing. yeah, this is going to be really fun to build. And yeah, they are the same kind of like barricade sections from the original Warcry. So while the plastic contents of the box are something, you know, really exciting and a lot of people are going to be interested in, the Red Harvest book itself is actually really cool and a brilliant addition to the Warcry game. So let's have a look at it and see what is inside. So first of all, we get surprisingly a lot of lore covering what's happening in the 8 points since the era of the Beast started. We know in the Broken Realms series that Archaon had been planning on using Varanite to breach the gate to his ear so he can assault it and essentially take on Sigmar. Morathi unfortunately ruined his plans a little bit by stealing his Varanite reserves from under his nose. So he has essentially got the Chaos Dwarden, who get name checked another time since the Dominion box set, to build a load of mines and forges and basically start mining what Varanite he can find. Obviously the numbers of the resource that he's got is gone down, so he's also had to go into other realms and start mining ether quartz and the like and corrupting it for his own needs. And that's essentially what this game kind of covers, the various tribes trying to impress Archaon by getting this realm stone material for him so he can enact his master plan. And I do wonder if that's where the storyline of this edition of Age of Sigmar goes. We then get some information on Tarantulas' brood and the Darko Savages. Darko Savages are basically your standard marauders reimagined. They often pledge themselves to the Varangard and will basically, yeah, look to impress the Ever-Chosen in order to gain his favour. Where Tarantulas' brood are corrupted by chaos, they've got kind of like a hive mind, weird spidery thing going on, so yeah, they're pretty creepy as well. So yeah, really, really pretty book. We get a lot of spreads with the miniatures and the scenery from the box. I'm really looking forward to painting up these Darko Savages. I'm loving the kind of Conan the Barbarian vibe they've got going on. Equally, Tarantulas' brood are really weird and creepy. I quite like that we've got two completely different looking factions in this box, which is nice. Obviously if you're splitting it with a friend, it means that you've got a bit of variety. We also get some shots of the scenery itself. And yeah, it is really, really nice. I'm really excited to play some games with this. Obviously this box, we're currently recording this segment of the review on Saturday morning. This only came last night, so I've not had a chance to build all this stuff yet. We will be following up with a another video and some posts once I've built and painted it and get some live stream games of it on the go as well. So yeah, basically the book's split into kind of two sections. So the first bit covers the kind of advanced rules that are introduced in the Warcry box, along with the rules for the new scenery, some new kind of branching quests, which is a really cool thing. So for each Grand Alliance, you've got to kind of pick your own adventure thing going on. We'll see in a little bit. And then at the end of the book, we have all the existing Warcry rules as well. So a lot of people were worried that you'd need the original Warcry box to play this. That isn't the case. The core rules are included in here, which is a really nice touch. So obviously one of the kind of main themes, I guess, of this box is the Varanite mining. And Varanite itself will play a part in your games of Warcry. So the board has got two different sides. And one of them, like we saw earlier, is more kind of exposed with the Varanite flowing over the surface. You cannot cross it. Central of your base cannot pass across an area of Varanite, and if you end your turn touching any Varanite, you were just automatically gone out of action. So yeah, dangerous. Things with fly are going to be really important in this because they can pass across that, and obviously we've got this big kind of multi-level terrain as well that kind of plays into that as well. Now, obviously we've got the awesome looking Delve engines in the box, the Pit Dredger and the Varanite Siphon that are built by the Chaos Dwarden and pumping the raw Varanite out of the ground. These start turned off, and for a double action you can actually turn on these. The channels of Varanite that we saw earlier in the unboxing, the Varanite will start flowing down them, and then it will do 2d6 damage to anyone standing on that platform. And then for a triple, you can turn the Delve engine off, which then removes that flow of Varanite. So nice interesting thing. You're going to use these channels to kind of get into good position and stuff, but you've got to be careful that your opponent doesn't come along, turn on that Varanite valve and do a load of damage to you guys. So I really like that. It's a fun mechanic. There's definitely some backstabbing, and I'm sure these are going to be real combat points to control that flow of Varanite. Then, like we've seen in the other Warcry books and supplements, we get some missions based around the two factions in the box. So you've got 2 for the Dark Oath, again with all the maps and rules and artifacts and stuff that you can get for that, and then 2 for Tarantulos' Brood as well, which is cool. So obviously if you're playing one of those 2 forces out of this box, you've got some cool missions to play through, which is fun. However, what they have introduced in this book are branching quests for each of the 4 Grand Alliances. These are really, really cool. Essentially, it kind of works like a pick your own adventure. You'll play through a mission, and then at the end of the mission, you'll get a scenario and a choice of options that you do. And based on what option you pick, it kind of unlocks this kind of branching path and goes down. So there's going to be loads of combination for replay value as well. So for example, in this first mission, your efforts have not been in vain. As you make camp that evening, misshapen envoys from 3 interested parties approach, offering you great power in return for service. First is the sorcerer Garvox, who wishes to use Varanite to open a permanent gateway directly to the realm of chaos. What could possibly go wrong? Second is the Skaven Master Molder Skilmore, whose flesh melding experiments need Varanite to progress. And third is the elf Ithalia, who claims to be an outcast from the Canaanite cult and has her own devious plans afoot. And then basically you pick which of those 3 individuals you want to serve, and depending on what you pick, that will then change the path of the campaign. I think that's really, really cool, and I kind of hope that we see a kind of another supplement book just with these, because, you know, yes, you've got 1 per Grand Alliance, but the fact that this keeps splitting means that you can probably replay these and get a few different combinations. It'd be nice to see a full book of this kind of stuff, because that really appeals to me. It's kind of adding RPG elements to an already, you know, Warcry is a very narrative based game really, and this really fits with it really well. I think it's a great addition. So yeah, looking forward to playing through those. Let's see, get 1 for each Grand Alliance. Everyone's covered. Now, obviously you're going to want to use the supplement books that cover each of the Grand Alliances to get those forces. I am hoping that in this edition we see some more like bespoke warbands from different Grand Alliances. Just because I think that would be a bit of fun. The Chaos was really cool, and we've got the Khainite Shadowstalkers who are really, really nice. But it'd be nice to see maybe like an Uruk, specifically Warcry warband. But yeah, that's just me. But this looks really, really fun. I can't wait to play through these. So then, as we've seen in other Warcry supplements, we get some generation charts for each of the 2 new factions in this book. So obviously we've got the Darko Savages and Tarantulos' Brood. We have got name generators for them, charts to work out where their origin is, and charts for their background as well. Really like stuff like this. We've seen it in Kill Team as well. Lets you add some flavour to your warband really easily without getting bogged too much down in kind of the rule side of things. This is all just kind of flavourful rather than having any real kind of rules impact, which for a narrative game, again, you can build your story around your warband with these. So then we get the full Warcry rules reprinted as well, which is really good. So like I said earlier, if you are new to Warcry through this box, you've got the core rules here. You could pick up some other, scenery. What you are lacking, I guess, are the kind of map cards for the missions out of the earlier box games. I'm kind of hoping that we see more of the scenery bundle boxes that they did back when Warcry released. There was a couple of them. I think there was a graveyard one and a foresty one, which came with an assortment of scenery cards. Obviously you get the ones in the box, but they're going to be using the scenery in the box itself, so I'm hoping that we see some more of those, just to give you a bit of variety for your games. But yeah, other than this, no changes. This is the same Warcry kind of core rules, everything that we've seen. Like I say, your actions are basically based on duplicate dice that you roll, and you can spend those in order to do different actions. The kind of advanced scenery rules for the Varanite stuff is in its own section, so you can just play a few intro games without that extra complexity to get your head around things, which the book actually does recommend at the start. So yeah, I think this is a really good way of getting into the game. I hope it sticks around. Warcry's been quite fun in being a really different kind of game to Age of Sigmar proper, I guess. A bit more skirmish scale, a bit more fast paced. Short, brutal games really, Warcry. So hopefully we see some more warbands come out alongside this. We've not seen anything on Warcry about that. What they may do is just tie those to boxes like this and have, every 6 months or something, another Warcry box comes out with 2 new factions and some scenery and bits. Finally, we get an updated sheet of rune marks. If I have got a gripe about the game, this is probably the only one, because some of them are very, very similar. And yes, you get the big chart saying what's what, but on the fly it does make it a little bit hard to determine what's what. Now I get why they did it. Obviously with the fighter cards, they can make it usable in any country, because your key for the rune marks would be in that language book then. But yeah, some of them do look very similar. Thankfully you get them all here so you know what's what. And then again we get some rules for going for the narrative gameplay, campaigns, all that kind of stuff. And the book ends out with a campaign roster as well for you to record the progress of your warband. So that was a quick unboxing of Warcry Red Harvest. Once I manage to build these and get some games played, I'm going to have a full in-depth review on this. I have written a companion piece to this, kind of first impressions, and look at all the components and my thoughts on the narrative and the branching storylines over on spruesandbrews.com. Like I say, I want to get this built, get some games on the go, and then we'll give our kind of full review and thoughts into how the 2 different warbands play as well. So yeah, really looking forward to this. It's nice to have a change of pace on a smaller scale game rather than big. As cool as a massive game of Age of Sigmar is, sometimes it's nice to have a quick, punchy, skirmish level game on the go as well. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video. There's a load of things up for pre-order today. We've got a couple of reviews over on the website, so if you are interested in Adeptus Titanicus or the new 40k narrative supplement, then make sure to check out the website for those. We'll get some shots to these built up and painted on the website as well, so stay tuned for that. Again, massive thanks to Games Workshop for sending us this early to review. We'll see you guys soon, and hope you enjoyed.